On the day Solomon dedicated the temple, something happened that is almost never discussed. The bronze altar, the very altar designed to receive Israel's sacrifices, was not large enough. The offerings were so great that Solomon was forced to consecrate an entirely separate section of the courtyard simply to hold the overflow. Most readers pass that detail without a second thought. But what if that was not a logistical problem? What if the altar that was too small was the most important theological statement in all of 2 Chronicles chapter 7? A signpost pointing forward to the one sacrifice that would finally be enough. 2 Chronicles chapter 7 cannot be understood without the prayer that ended chapter 6. Solomon has spent his entire dedicatory prayer asking God to keep his ears attentive to all who call upon his name in this place. Chapter 7 is God's answer. The moment Solomon finishes, fire descends from heaven and consumes the burnt offerings and sacrifices. Immediately after, the glory of the Lord fills the temple so completely, so overwhelmingly, that the priests cannot enter. The men appointed and consecrated to serve in this very house are stopped at the threshold by the presence of God himself. All of Israel sees it happen. And the text tells us they bow with their faces to the ground, and they worship. What follows reveals just how insufficient any earthly altar truly is. Solomon and the people begin bringing their offerings, 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. The number is almost incomprehensible. So great is the outpouring that the bronze altar cannot contain them all. Solomon must consecrate the middle section of the courtyard simply to hold the overflow. The Levites take their positions with cymbals, harps, and lyres. The priests blow their trumpets. The celebration continues for 7 days, then extends to an 8th day of solemn assembly. All of Israel, from the northern entrance at Lebo Hamath all the way south to the Wadi of Egypt, is present. When it ends, the people return to their homes joyful and glad in heart for all the good the Lord had done. Here the chapter turns quiet. The crowds have departed. The music has stopped. And it is in this stillness, at night, in the private hours, that the Lord appears to Solomon a second time. No fire, no glory cloud, no trumpet blast, just the word of God coming to one man in the darkness. He tells Solomon, "I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a temple for sacrifices." He promises that his eyes will be open and his ears attentive to every prayer offered in this house. He consecrates it, declaring that his name will rest there forever. Then comes the conditional word that would define Israel's entire future. "If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land." This verse is perhaps the most quoted in all of 2 Chronicles, and it is also among the most misunderstood. In its original context, God is speaking directly to Solomon about a covenant people and a consecrated place. It is not a broad promise offered to every nation throughout history. It is a conditional covenant with specific terms for a specific people. And God does not stop at the blessing. He tells Solomon plainly, if Israel turns away, if they abandon his decrees and follow other gods, this glory-filled temple will become a heap of ruins. Passers-by will look at it and ask, why has the Lord done this to this great land and to this temple? And the answer will come, because they abandoned him. Now let's return to the altar that was too small. In the rich tapestry of biblical history, the stories of old often serve as a mirror reflecting the greater narrative of salvation that unfolds in the New Testament. And the overflowing altar of Solomon's temple is one of those mirrors. No matter how many thousands of animals were placed upon that bronze altar, 22,000 cattle, 120,000 sheep and goats, they were never enough. The writer of Hebrews would say it plainly centuries later. It is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. Every sacrifice placed on that altar was a promissory note, a pointing finger, not a destination. And the conditional covenant of that nighttime conversation carries the same weight of foreshadowing. If you obey, if you seek my face, if you turn from your wicked ways. The entire framework rested on human faithfulness, and the entire history of Israel from this moment forward would demonstrate just how fragile that foundation truly was. God was building a case. No altar, forged from bronze could bear the weight of humanity's sin. No conditional covenant could secure what broken human beings could not maintain. When Jesus walked into the temple and the religious leaders demanded a sign of his authority, he said, "Destroy this temple, and I will raise it again in 3 days." John tells us he was speaking of the temple of his body. These are not just historical details. They are signposts pointing forward to Jesus, the true temple, the final altar, and the one sacrifice sufficient to accomplish what 142,000 animals never could. Where Solomon's altar overflowed and fell short, the cross held. Not because the sacrifice was small, because it was infinite. 2 Chronicles chapter 7 is more than the story of a dedication ceremony. It is the story of a God so holy that fire descends at the sight of an offering, and so loving that he would one day become that offering himself. Are you ready to continue? Just click here and come along with me to the next chapter.